boys, girls, gamers, welcome into the channel. This is the Endgame broadcast brought to you by your host today and our co-host. My name is Billion, and we have with me.
We got Rex. Rexy. Took a little minute there to kind of kick in. I was wondering, I thought you were going to introduce everybody for a second there, but I guess we'll do sort of like a roundtable thing.
Yeah, I was
we starting off good. It's your main man, Caveman, right here.
Yeah. You already know Miguel, man, aka 91 Shells, man. You already know the vibes. We the building.
And we have our production team.
What's up? I'm LZ.
For sure. All right. And this is the Endgame broadcast. This is officially episode 1 in the books.
It's been a couple months in the making, right? Like just trying to get the podcast, essentially kind of set up and just going through the motions a little bit. So it's kind of exciting to actually be on that first episode and driving a conversation forward, man. So let's dig into it.
For sure. So how's everybody feeling today?
Feeling good. Feeling great.
Good, great. All right. So, this is a gaming podcast, and we're just going to jump it straight off just so everybody can kind of get a gist of who everybody is. And I want to start off by saying what games got us into gaming. For me, it might be a couple, but I think I really want to say Sonic the Hedgehog got me into gaming, and probably Mortal Kombat 2 really made me a gamer. Growing up, that was like the game for me. And yeah, man. What about you guys, Rex? What was the game that got you into gaming?
Oh man, shoot. I honestly, there's just so many, right? I can think back to Crash Bandicoot being one of the core foundations if we're thinking of like platformers a little bit. I guess it's a little bit of a platformer. More like third person. Metal Gear Solid is going to be right on the main pipeline. But going back a little bit further, right? We're going to the NES basically. Like I think naturally, like one of the main platformers you can kind of think of is going to be Mario games, right? So. Any like Mario based platformers generally would have been the primary kind of introduction to really the gaming for me.
Man, you just took a bunch of the games off my list. Yeah. So listen, I thought about this long and hard. I wanted to make a list to really try and remember where it all started for me. And right now, it's a toss-up between the two. It's a little hard for me to remember which one I played first. But it was either Crash Bandicoot or Super Mario on the SNES, right? Because like I remember my uncle, he had a SNES like at his place for the longest time. Like even after we were on like playing Xbox and all them other things, every time I go over there, he'd have that SNES and we would go play because it was just something. It was different, right? So I want to say that was probably one of the first games that I really like enjoyed. And then, of course, I had to jump into Crash Bandicoot, and then later on Spyro and Tekken 3, like all these great games back then. I have a whole list. I can go through them, but I'm gonna let you guys go.
What's the name of the you brought up Tekken 3 and I just immediately I thought of what's the guy name? He generally was used his feet for Tekken 3 and I just remember
Eddie Gordo?
that game.
Eddie Gordo.
Yeah,
Eddie,
man. Wow,
yeah.
Man. It was definitely my favorite character on the game.
Well, all right, so Eddie was my favorite character, but specifically in that game, the little dinosaur that had the boxing gloves gone, man, That one was a fun one to use.
Oh, yeah, dude.
Yeah, man. I think you had to beat the game to unlock him or something like that, though. I don't know if he was like ready out the gate, but
I think you had to beat the game to get him.
Yeah, bro.
What about you, Miguel? What was the game that got you into gaming?
Bruh, Honestly, so much. Because I was like the youngest around all my older cousins. I got put onto a lot of games, but I want to say the one that really got me hooked was Street Fighter 2, bro, for the Super Nintendo. That game right there had me in a chokehold, y'all boys. Like straight up, like the way how Ryu and Ken, how they like resembled like each other, and they would shoot the fireballs, and just the way how they would do Hadouken, bro. Like that was like the main thing.
Hold on, bro. Hold on. Can you say that again? I want to get that crystal clear for the recording.
Hadouken, yo.
LZ, go ahead and clip that.
I'm telling you, bro. I'm telling you, just like, bro, the moves, the way how they shoot the fireballs, bro, the way how everything, even like the track listing, bro, that Ken stage, with the boats floating in the back, bro. It was just hard. It was just like, I was like, bro, what is this, bro? You know what I'm saying? And because it was a two-player game, it was like very competitive. It was like nothing I never really experienced at that time. Granted, afterwards, was Mortal Kombat, Mortal Kombat 2. And, that's a whole nother story as well, bro.
Oh, for
And,
sure. Yeah.
and,
Yes, maybe this might be a good segue then. Thinking about some of the games that we sort of played and how we enjoyed them. A lot of some of the hitters we talked about
Yeah, so
just a moment ago.
I was definitely gonna say that. I know LZ, do you want to mention what was the game that got you into gaming right before we get into that?
Sure. For me, I think the first one, well, not my favorite, but the one that got me into gaming was Super Mario Brothers on the Nintendo, I believe, or the Super Nintendo. I didn't have the game, but I had a neighbor that had it. My parents wouldn't buy me the games. So you could imagine as a little kid that had a neighbor that had it, seeing him play Super Mario, seeing him fly around, shooting fireballs. I just kind of obsessed about playing games and couldn't really wait to get my hands on games. So when I finally got a system, I was locked in. You couldn't get me off.
For sure. So yeah, but so going off of that, I guess I would lead into the first question would be what was the first game you guys ever played?
Ooh, um,
Or the
you
first
know,
game that you remember playing at least?
Yeah, well, that's kind of what I was trying to answer earlier. Like I said, it's a toss up for me between like Mario and Crash Bandicoot.
yeah.
I just don't remember which one was first.
I'm the same. I want to say it was either Mario or like a Mario game because I remember vividly my uncle having a Game Boy, like the original brick Game Boy, and he had Mario and like Mario World and stuff on it. And I mean, I thought that was amazing. You know what I'm saying? So I want to say it was either that or Sonic on the Sega Genesis, and that was like one of my favorite games as a kid. But yeah, toss up
Sonic
between
was
those two.
crazy.
One of the first games I ever played.
for me, it was and I had to actually do the research on it because at the time I didn't know what it was, and it's a hidden gem. Most people don't know about it because it came out on the Sega Saturn, and it was like a fighting game. It was called Eternal Champions, bro.
I know
That was
that
the
game, man.
that was the first game like I ever played, bro.
Your
And
first game you played was on the Sega Saturn,
yeah,
bro. You're like, how old are you? I'm
no,
joking.
well, at the time, I mean, I was young. Well, you know what? Actually, no, it was on Sega Genesis. My fault. It was on Sega Genesis, and then they made a part two to it, and the part two was on Sega Saturn. My fault. So it was on the
Okay, that's what's
Genesis.
up. That's
Yeah, it was
what's
on the
up.
Genesis.
And Kev, where were you with the first game that you played? Oh, you said it was Crash Bandicoot or
Yeah,
Mario.
it was like you said. My uncle, he happened to have the NES at his house, and even throughout the years when the newer consoles came out, I would always be able to go by and play it. So I want to say that was one of the first games that I played. You know, at least it's one of the earliest games that I can think of that I played.
For sure, for sure. So that's pretty cool. So we all kind of have the, I don't want to say the same, but we have like a similar experiences. Being that our first games that we played were most likely on the um, Nintendo platform or the Sega platform. Um, that's pretty cool. I think our listeners can kind of gauge around our age range because of that. Um, these
You know what?
platforms have been around for a long time, and that kind of goes, it leads me into like the games that made me love gaming, man, as a kid. It wasn't just like Sonic and Mortal Kombat, but I remember like having getting my first Nintendo 64 and the first Mario game that I think I've ever owned, because all of the other Mario games were always like my uncle had it or my cousin had it or a friend had it and I played it with them. And I got a 64 and got Mario 64, and I thought that game was amazing. The color was crazy, the graphics were crazy. I mean, it was just next gen for sure, from going from like a Sega Genesis, because I got like a Sega Genesis first and then ended up getting the next gen systems, which were the PlayStation and the 64, like years after it came out. I didn't get it like when it first came out. So like jumping from that flat 2D Sonic or any of the other games that were on the Sega and going to Mario 64 was incredible for me, man.
Timeless, bro. Do you think do you think like there's at that time like a system was better than the other? Cause I'm gonna be honest with you, like I love Super Nintendo, but dog, Sega Genesis, the aesthetic of a Sega Genesis to me, it's like it gave this late night like cool slick vibe, bro. Especially with some of like even with Sonic, bro. The music tracks in Sonic games, every track in a Sonic game hit, bro. I felt like I was at the Soul Train Awards, bro.
No, I don't know if it was I don't know if one system was better than the other at the time when I was younger. I think it was just more for me and my brother was just like I just wanted to play something, you know? So I
Yeah, I
think both of
feel
them
you.
were pretty cool. I never owned a Nintendo when I was younger, or like a Super Nintendo. Like I said, I would always go to like a cousin's house or something, or a friend's, and they would have those games. So I always got a little bit of contrast with some of the Nintendo games and versus some of the Sega games I had. But I had a ton of Sega games. I feel like that were classics. Like the Looney Tunes game on Sega was crazy. I had the Tasmanian Devil on the Sega. A crazy gem. I had Home Alone 2 on the Sega Genesis. That is a gem. If you guys never played that, find it,
I,
get you a Sega, and go play Home Alone 2. That game was ahead of
I
its
can
time.
confidently say I've never played. I didn't even know Home Alone had a game.
It's a hidden gem. That is a gem. If y'all ever get the chance to play Home Alone 2 on the Sega Genesis, please go out your way and play that game. Amazing.
Yeah, they both had their gems, but I feel like at that time, a lot of the games, except for like the exclusives, like the Mario's and the Sonics, like they had their own exclusivity on it. I played a game called Comic Zone, bro, on Genesis, bro.
Comic
Man,
Zone was classic. Oh my god.
bro. Oh my gosh, bro. Like I'm like, yo, what happened to games like these, bro? Like I was in a whole nother world, bro. Whole nother atmosphere. But granted, at that time, I didn't own a Super Nintendo. It was my older cousin. He had a Super Nintendo. And so because we were so young, we weren't able to afford to buy games. So what we would do was like we would hit a blockbuster, bro, and we used to have to just rent the games, you know. And Because back then, bro, video games were so hard. There was no save points, bro. You know,
Oh
it was
No,
man,
that's facts.
save points
it was
are crazy. Just sorry to interject, Miguel. Like
like
you
good.
know, I think re- one of the news tidbits that recently came out. I think Soros is one of the games making headline, and you know that's a roguelike. And they're like essentially kind of modifying the way that they do. They essentially do save points on you know, so just trying to tie in some conversation to like modern day games right now and save points and stuff. And that kind of leads me back to like Metal Gear Solid, you know, Psycho Mantis, or was Psycho Mantis? Yeah, where you had to like modify or you had to pull out the memory card on a PS1 and stuff like that. So as soon as you said save points, I was like, oh man, you know, gaming was just a different kind of beast. You had to deal with a different kind of stuff back then too, for sure.
Yeah,
Especially
no,
when
for
it
sure. I remember that. I
Yeah,
think it
yeah.
was the controller actually. You had to pull your controller out and put it into controller slot too, so you couldn't like
Okay,
Yep.
manually
I,
yeah,
change
yeah,
re-
it.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
remember that that was a very unique experience playing
Oh,
games.
for sure, man. Yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Actually, you know what? I think I remember talking to Miguel. You know, just in the neighborhood and stuff like that. You know, we would come outside and like talking about Metal Gear Solid and stuff, and just kind of going through it. And all of us, you know, just in the neighborhood, just sort of
Tom,
talking about, you know,
Thomas, bro.
what the heck is going on with this thing, and essentially how to beat it, man. It was crazy.
Mhm.
Thomas, bro.
All right.
Yeah.
Thomas.
So real quick, I got a question for you guys. We spoke a little bit about the first games that got us into it, and now I got a question for you. What are you playing right now?
Oh man, I'll take this one. Crimson Desert definitely has brought my love back to gaming. I think that's one of the things we'll sort of touch on, man. But like the definitely Crimson Desert, man. I think from the perspective of just not fully storytelling, I can't say that it is probably like the best, you know, in terms of like storytelling, that best game in terms of storytelling that's essentially out there. But in terms of gameplay mechanics and depth, um, definitely right now playing Crimson Desert and absolutely enjoying the heck out of this thing, man. It's definitely a fun game.
All right, all right.
I'm glad to
Billion,
hear.
what you doing now?
Well, I can't say that I'm playing anything new per se. I'm a big shooter game fan. So really, right now, I'm playing Apex. Man, Apex just did a huge update this month. In March, they did a Gundam collab, which was crazy. They put a whole bunch of new Gundam skins in the game, and you know the loot box situation and stuff like that, so you can unlock new skins for them. And the skins are based on the real Gundams from the show. Um, and they even brought in the Buster gun from the show, which was crazy. They just did another new update just recently, just maybe 2 days ago, as of this recording. We're at March 29th right now. And yeah, I mean, that's what I'm playing right now. I was looking into Crimson Desert. I haven't downloaded it. I don't know for sure if the price tag that they're asking is worth it. I watched some reviews on it. Right now, I'm on the fence about it. I'm thinking about it. It kind of reminds me of a more realistic Breath of the Wild. I think I was just it gives me that feel, like that Zelda feel. But yeah, I mean, other than that, that's what I'm playing right now.
First off, didn't know you were still playing Apex. Second, Gundam in there sounds pretty. That sounds pretty cool. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah, the
So,
Gundam event was crazy. I'm not gonna lie. That was pretty. That was probably one of the dopest events that they had for a
so,
long
so,
time.
so just a quick segue then. Have you guys heard about the recent like game rating war between Peggy and ESRB?
Have
The
not.
so, Now so basically Peggy and ESRB are sort of kind of going at it where I think ESRB is the United States rating essentially on like gaming and in like all sorts of entertainment products and Peggy is and I'll cross check myself on that one. But Peggy is the sort of like European rating system, and they're kind of having like a little bit of a legal battle right now, where like any game that's sort of introducing monetization mechanisms, like I know Billion just mentioned, skins and stuff like that. They're sort of ranking it super like much higher, essentially like treating it as like put the potential gameplay mechanics and stuff like that. What do you guys think and feel about that? Do you feel like that's one perspective that's sort of changed in terms of how we sort of view games? Thought it was an interesting tidbit to sort of throw in that.
Now, when you're saying they're ranking it higher, what do you mean they're ranking
Like
like
so like the
games that
age
have loot
rating.
boxes as like
Yeah,
more mature?
yeah, essentially, yeah. So like they'll change the age rating. So like ESRB uses like everyone like 10 plus, teen, mature, which is like 17 plus, and then like adults only, and then they have like the RP like ratings, and then I think Peggy uses like the groups of age or specific targeted age groups. So it's like 3, 7, 12, 16, 18, or whatever, so as they as sort of like the
So
rating mechanism.
I mean, this is the first I'm hearing of this, but my thoughts on this are when you say they're upping the age range or whatever, the targeted the rating, what are they upping it to? Because if they start making games that were, rated teen originally, now mature, or if they're now making mature games adults only, I feel like that's going to be a big problem. Just because, a lot of games, granted, a lot of things are now digital, but you're not going to find games that are rated adults only in, places like Walmart and Target. Like, you're just not going to find them anymore.
Yeah, no, yeah,
So
yeah. So like, I mean, you're not finding them in Walmart these days anyway, right? Most of
what I'm
the
saying is you won't find them. That's my point. Is like you'll have to know about it digitally or somewhere some other way to even be able to see it. Because even
right.
though I feel like most people probably get their games online through whatever respective stores, but this, I mean, you walk into a Walmart, they still got a game section in there. Somebody's buying them.
Yeah, no, yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I think the goal, at least from the European gaming rating system, is that they are essentially, just yeah, they're making it more mature or flagging it as adults only, depending on, for example, like loot boxes or things like that, right? So if a game has the heavy monetization, they're not just approaching it from the perspective of how they scale or up the rating just off of content alone. They're essentially looking to target it from the perspective of not just content alone, but also the mechanisms that are embedded into the game, which I thought was kind of interesting. Which kind of introduces an entire new dynamic when you think about how games ship and develop content uh, across the world. Yeah, the European rating system or Game Information Organization is taking a very different approach. Um, Versus the North American entertainment software rating board. So a little bit of a change in sort of legal status happening across the ocean a little bit. So
Oh, well, that going just piggybacking off of that. So because of that, I want to ask you guys, what do you guys think? If was gaming better back then, or is gaming better now?
honestly, I would say for me, being more of a third person, more story in depth sort of gamer, I think the games that I play now are a little bit fewer and farther in between. Just because I appreciate more storytelling and heavy gameplay mechanics, a game that has a little bit more depth, and I think the industry, considering all of the things that we're seeing in the market today, is targeted at having, and maybe that's not necessarily a criticism of the industry overall, but it's just the way that things have sort of evolved. But uh, most companies are looking to drive revenue, and that's fair and understandable, right? You kind of have to bring the money in, but a lot of it is driven towards these gameplay mechanics that are just kind of targeted at not really storytelling. So it's a little bit different. And from that perspective, I think it makes a little gaming not necessarily less fun or better, but I'm a little bit more picky about the kind of games that I choose to play.
I,
So I probably, I spend more time on targeted gaming.
I'll say this though, man. For me, well, because I think about it like this: like gaming today, mainly gaming is like it's targeted to like a younger audience, right? And so this generation, with this younger generation, they don't care about storytelling, bro. You know, like when it comes to like RPGs, most of everybody that plays RPGs or JRPGs are within like late 20s or early 30s, bro, and up. So, and everything is transactional, bro. So I would say personally, I feel like gaming was better then because you didn't have microtransactions like taken away from everything, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like if I'm buying a game, if I pre-order a game, and they're talking about a season pass. Like I'm like, bro, why is it not included in the game? Because
Yeah.
back then, bro, everything was included in the games. You just had to like put in the work to actually play the game, to unlock certain things.
I
There
definitely agree with that.
was no, oh, when you pre-order, you'll get this character, but he doesn't come out till next year fall. It's like what? Like, bro, why can't we just, play through a certain mode and unlock that character, bro, and be ready to go? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And as well as there was more creative space for the games back then. There was more creativity. You could tell there was more passion and soul. And that's how we had games like, don't get me wrong, I love today's gaming. I do, but back then, especially in that PS2 era, bro, where you had games like SSX Tricky, NBA Street, Volume 2, 3, Def Jam, Fight for New York, all of that is very like those games had soul and spirit. Midnight Club, where you had to do things to actually you had to earn it, bro. Like in fighting games, you actually had to put in the work to become good, bro, and unlock characters. And it made it enjoyable and it was very rewarding at the end of the day.
Yeah, and now
Today's
it's more of a
I
pay to play sort of
100%,
perspective.
I 100% agree with what Miguel is saying. For me, in a sense, I definitely feel like games were better back then, or I want to say even in the last 10 years, right? So the 10 years up to this date, I feel like games have been not as good. And the 10 years prior, games were a lot better because I feel like games used to ship 100% done. Now you get games shipping to customers. Like, for example, I'm going to use Crimson Desert because it just came out. And the first week that is out, they're already pushing an update. And for me, it just seems like no game comes complete anymore. Everything is, being sold to us for a high price, $70 for a game, just so that a week or 2 weeks after the game comes out, there's a bunch of bugs and things that need to be fixed. And then they say, oh, we're going to push an update to fix this issue. And it's like, that didn't happen back in the day. Like, we used to get a game, we buy it, the game is done, we play it all the way through, and it's either it was good or it wasn't good. We didn't have to deal with microtransactions, loot box systems. You know, the games had more feeling, more depth. Like Miguel was saying, it felt more original. There was so many more original ideas. Um, Even like you said, Midnight Club 3, I remember playing that dub edition. Like, that was so good for a racer game. It wasn't too focused on like being a real racer like Gran Turismo. It was its own thing. It had real vibes. The music was crazy. It had rap music playing. You know what I'm saying? Like the special moves that you can do with the different classes of cars. You don't really see stuff like that anymore. So personally, I think games were definitely better back in the day than what they are now.
They
As far
has
as like graphically speaking, I can only base those games that were, back in the day on the graphics that were available at the time. So, at the time they look great. But compared to now, obviously everything's in like 4K and 1080p, and things do look good. Things look amazing. But now the gaming world, it seems like it's more focused on trying to make a sale or trying to sell you something after you bought the game, like a season pass or like a new skin or some item that you just can't play the game to um you can't play the game to earn it anymore. But what you think, Kev?
So my perspective on this is like I have to figure out where to draw that line. What is considered, the older games and which one's considered the newer ones. And for me, I think that line is drawn where games became online enabled, right? Because once they were online enabled, that's when they had the ability of, pushing updates, online multiplayer, all those type of things. It gave us the ability to do all those things that we all think, I'm pretty sure we all agree are not necessarily the best for games. Not coming out incomplete, and like everything that you guys said, I agree with 100%. Right? For me, I personally think that it was better back then, mainly because besides the fact that those games had to be complete since there was no updates to it, they also had a different mindset in terms of how they wanted those games to be played. So, for instance, right now, how many games can you sit down and play 4-player co-op, like on one system? Like, it's not a thing anymore. Yeah. And even though the games are fully capable of doing it, it's just not a thing anymore. And like, it's a positive and a negative, because for me, I have fond memories playing with my buddies, different games, all on the same screen, whether it was Super Smash Brothers or some James Bond game or Call of Duty or whatever. Like it was always fun being able to do that. But today, I mean, we're all adults at this point. We all got our priorities. It's easier for us to be able to meet online. So there are definitely things today that exist that I truly enjoy. But if I had to compare it, I think it was more fun being there in person. There's just an aspect to this that does not exist. It's not the same when you're doing it online only.
Yeah, that's facts.
Yeah. Would you say that it's not a thing in terms of like co-op gameplay because the industry is sort of kind of driving it towards that?
No, they're requiring. They want you to do it online. Like obviously there are plenty of games where it's co-op based. Like a lot of the games I'm playing right now, Warzone and Arc Raiders and whatnot, they're all co-op based games. They want you to play with friends, but none of them allow you to do it from the same spot. Like even if I wanted to have a LAN party, we all got to have our own console. We all got to have our own internet connection. And if you're on a console, whatever, we all have to independently play for PSN or Xbox Live or whatever it's called. Just they want you still to be online, even if you're capable of. Yeah, so it's a different mindset.
Even playing like Super Smash Bros, like everybody has to have a Switch.
And exactly.
Not if I'm going to play devil's advocate, though, I will say I think it's coming from both sides. I think a little bit is nostalgia. As someone that downloaded recently, I try to do like a game roulette where I just play any game. I think I downloaded Crash Bandicoot, and I was like, oh man, like it's cool, but it's very dated. You know what I mean? So I think some of it might be nostalgia. And I will say, as far as like I could understand, I don't agree with microtransactions or like live service or on live service games that's live service basically, because that introduces like a yearly subscription model like Madden or 2K. That's the same game repackaged, or Call of Duty every year. But I will say those games were less demanding as far as the resources and the money that would go into them. And I think us as gamers might be a little spoiled too, because they can't keep doing the same mechanics that worked back then. We always want innovation, and we need it now, and we want it with the updated settings. And it's like your game better be polished. It better look realistic. I better be able to see pores on their face, and the controls better work, and the multiplayer better work, and there better not be any exploits. It's like there's so much that we demand as gamers, where it's like, dude, we have to release patches after this because no one's going to play it the same way. We're going to test it as much as we can, but there's going to be someone in Idaho that realizes that this particular player is broken and that just abuses the game.
Well, you know what's funny is, what's funny is like I'm thinking of art graders, right? Like from the perspective of like how people are using the game in unintended ways. Like I feel like I see a clip all the time where someone's doing something crazy with the game mechanic. And I can't imagine that developers of art graders even thought that people would attempt to play the game in that kind of way, where it's just like ends up being some crazy moment that everyone thinks is fun while they're playing the game, but like, they're just leveraging like killing some sort of like some sort of enemy type in the game or whatever, just using a completely like dorked up way within the game mechanics or the world in the game. So.
Man, when it came to art graders, there's a bunch of things in there that they did not expect players to do.
Oh, for sure.
For one thing, they didn't expect players to get along. So, like, to dive into this game just a little bit, one of the bigger enemies in the game, there's not enough loot on that enemy for all the people who work together to do it. I've been in lobbies where there's like 10 of us all fighting to kill the queen, and then that queen's got like 4 items on it, maybe. So obviously more than half of the people participating are not doing it. And they were like, yeah, they were expecting us to kill each other to get that loot. Yeah. So updates, like when it comes to all the modern features, I understand that, yes, they are kind of required. They open up the door for some not necessarily best practices, but like, for instance, microtransactions, I understand that it is a necessary evil. I say necessary because games like Warzone, I mean, I personally don't pay for microtransactions, but I am glad it's free and that somebody's out there who enjoys all those microtransactions.
Yeah, I mean, I guess from the perspective of microtransactions, it's like that's okay. I think I've always, of course, I think we sort of talked about this a little bit offline before, but it's kind of goofy to pay for skins on a first-person shooter because you can't see it. You know what I mean? Like if it's a third-person game, it makes sense. You want to kind of customize your character and having those, you know what I mean? Having those in-game systems, but like you're paying for something that you won't even be able to see and enjoy, and somebody else has to see it and enjoy it. And you're probably just, I don't know. I think where it shadows the line though with microtransactions is, and I think most people would probably agree, is when it becomes more of a play to win mechanism, and you kind of sort of prey on people's ability to sort of just have some gaming behaviors that might not necessarily constitute.
Man, these companies need to learn pay to win is not the way to go. That's how you lose.
But you know what I think is geared towards though? I think it's geared towards like the younger like kids, like who like, hey mom, I want this, but they're not gonna put in the time that one of us is gonna put in to earn that skin. You know what I'm saying? So
well, I mean, there's gaming fatigue too. It's a battle for everyone's time a little bit. Just a quick side note, talking about all of the different features that we sort of want. There's another article shared it in chat, but it's titled AAA game budgets now surpass 300 million, which, I mean, I think we think about GTA 6 and the cost of development from GTA 6 perspective, and it's a massive game with a lot of features. There's a bunch of patents on the game, but wow, like 300 million is an insane number. Like, how do you guys feel about the cost?
I mean, it's GTA. They gonna make it back in 1 hour.
Yeah, bro.
I mean, what about other games that are not as? Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Hey, listen, that's a gamble on the other ones. That's a gamble for them.
Yeah, does that ruin gaming though a little bit? Do you think? Because like if game development becomes that costly and not every game is GTA 6, some games are not going to make that money back.
So I don't necessarily think that every game is going to cost that much. Granted, as the games are moving into the future, um, we're
According to
having a
this
lot of
article, at least
we're,
according to the Bloomberg's Jason Schreier, he's making that argument that AAA game development in general, broadly.
yeah, okay. So if we're talking in a broad spectrum that games are getting more expensive, sure, they are. I mean, we're seeing that in the cost of the games that are coming out. But again, I think I think a part of that cost is coming from the live servers, the cloud access, the streaming that the games are providing. Um, Even though we haven't seen it yet, but AI is starting to become a really big thing. So I think we're going to start seeing some AI in games more often, and I think those things will drive up the cost of the game. And then going off of what LZ said, people are always complaining. Gamers are never happy. So they want everything. They want the best texture. They want the best audio. They want the best graphics. They want the best of everything in the game. So, that turns into costs having to go up for these developers to provide us with that just so we can complain at the end. You know how it is.
Well,
You know what?
so
Hold on.
yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just kind of curious about that because here's my thought. Especially when it comes to like AI and its utilization in game development, as long as it's not AI slop, I don't think it's going to make it more expensive. At least it shouldn't make it more expensive, right? They might charge more just because their companies and greedy, but it shouldn't make it more expensive. It should allow them to do more quickly, right? Especially if it's targeted, something very specific, not just, create a couple images that have zombies with, 6 fingers, something like that, not naming names. Call of Duty, but
that's crazy.
but you see what I'm saying? It's like if you can actually utilize AI to do something to help speed up the process to create things faster or whatever, then
I mean, I think
in theory they should be able to produce games and save some money, and then they don't. I'm not saying that they necessarily have to charge less for the games, but it should at least prevent it from going up in price. That way, they're saving money. They're going to make more money per game because it costs them less to develop it. We, as consumers, don't see a price increase, but we can potentially see more fully fleshed out games, at least ideally.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think that the cost is essentially already there, right? Because we are. I mean, if you think about it from the perspective of recent news that's sort of been making the headway in terms of like artificial intelligence, right? Like, and just generally in gaming, in general, right? Like you have GPUs that have like TPUs that are, and they're using like these AI techniques and DLSS 5 or whatever. And I think that's the most recent thing to make the rounds. And this might be a controversial opinion. I think that from a consumer's perspective or just general gamers' perspective, is DLSS 5 actually makes graphics look way better than you might have expected it to be, and that it had extreme realism. But DLSS 5 got a lot of blowback from the gaming community. But I think the reason why I think that a lot of folks gave it a lot of blowback is because it takes away from the creative freedom of the folks making the games, and it's a little bit too real, in terms of.
You talking about the thing that everybody was saying was AI slop that NVIDIA showed off?
Well, I can't say it's AI slop really, because it does such a good job. If you look at the mechanism, like if you look at the actual technique of what it's doing, it's upscaling the graphics and making it look more real. So when you look at the image, but it's such a massive transformation that it's kind of off-putting, right? Like it doesn't look like that cartoonic look. Go ahead.
Here's my thing, and because I thought about this when I first saw it. The games that they were showing off, I'm curious if they worked with NVIDIA to do that upscaling. Because if they did,
well,
and
DLSS 5, This is actually just to give some feedback. So if you haven't looked at it, this is Nvidia's technology. So they developed a
Mm-hmm.
new technology for DLSS 5. So they're moving on to, and they did a showcase, and they kind of showed um, uh, uh, um, Resident Evil Requiem
They showed a
with
bunch of
DLSS.
games.
They did, right. And they kind of
Yeah.
showed that technology to kind of, showcase that upscaling to have a level of photorealism. So
I
yeah.
saw that, but I saw that there was a lot of people. Again, gamers just like to complain, but I saw there was a lot of people complaining that the graphic,
How it looked.
yeah,
They were
like the
complaining about how it
graphics
looked.
didn't really
People
wasn't
they
like a big
comparing it to
change.
yeah, they were comparing it to like AI slop, right? That's why I said that term, and
I
that's
got you.
why I was curious about something. Let's take Resident Evil as an example. Did Resident Evil work with NVIDIA's new DLS 5 and actually come up with the game looking that way? Or was this just added afterwards and it really was AI just looking at the image and deciding, okay, let's make it better this way? Because if the
I think that
developers were not included, then yes, I agree. That's AI slop, right? But if the developers were included, then yeah, it could have been an actual enhancement. Maybe this is what they really wanted it to look like. And the fact that people already saw the character in one way and then, hey, we can make it look better now or more of our vision, people don't like to change. They don't. That's my guess. I
I
honestly
agree
think
on that too.
yeah, I honestly think moving forward, it will be better because if a developer uses this from the start, so before we see anything, and they are capable of coming up with their creative vision using this new technology to enhance it even further, I don't think anybody's going to complain about that. They're going to say, "Oh my God, these are the best graphics I've ever seen."
I
Because
think so.
some of those examples, they like specifically like Starfield. When I saw the difference between those, I was like, "Oh snap! This is significantly better." So
yeah.
there's a good chance that we will see significantly better games, but
I think we will
I don't know
even see
how.
it soon with with
Well,
GTA
I
6.
don't know about soon. I don't know about soon. They needed
So,
25090s to do
so
that.
check this out, right? So GTA 6 isn't out yet. So they still have the chance right now to use that software during the development. So everything that we have seen recently on GTA 6 is
Well,
based off of the
it's
engine that
So
they're
just
using now.
so just to provide some context, this technology, I believe, and feel free to cross check me on this, but this technology exists at the hardware level, right? We're talking about the GPU,
yeah,
not necessarily software level.
they
And I think and I
yeah they
think
needed two
and I think that
5090s to run this.
Yeah, and I think that the technology, because it exists at the hardware level, it's not necessarily at the software level. And GTA 6 is developing it based off of their own gaming engine that has their own technology built in at the software level. So it's two different layers, I think. So um, yeah,
Well, I couldn't get too technical about it, but I don't think that's my field of expertise. But in my mind, as a regular gamer, I was thinking like,
make
oh,
it work.
like, oh man,
Make it work.
if you guys can do this off of something that's already out, imagine what they can do with something that's still in development that's coming. Even though we've already
Mhm.
seen some graphics and clips from the game, it was more so trailer. It wasn't like real gameplay. So
Mhm.
there's a big difference between seeing video of a trailer of a game and then the actual graphics of the gameplay from the game. Two different things. The trailer's
Well,
always going
yeah.
to look 10 times better graphically.
Well,
So if
here's the
they can
thing.
like enhance it with something before the game comes out, I'm all for it.
Here's the thing. The thing that they showed off, we're not going to see this anytime soon. If it required
Yeah.
them 25090s
Yeah.
for them to run it,
Yeah.
ain't nobody spending multiple thousands of dollars on GPUs, especially right now with these prices, to get that level of graphical fidelity.
I mean,
Like the
I don't
average
even.
consumer ain't doing that.
I don't even think like console platforms like the PS5 is
Oh no,
not even the PS6 is touching that kind of level of performance,
nah,
honestly, or so like
not maybe the PS7.
yeah,
maybe then.
yeah, for sure.
Y'all think it's really that far out?
Oh, for sure, man. Yeah,
Dude, two 5090s is extremely powerful. So they either need to up the performance of a single GPU significantly or highly optimize the DLSS 5 so that it can run on a single GPU. There's no way that anybody's going to have that level of computational power on a like with a large user base. There will be some people out there that can do it. I'm pretty sure if you watch any of the tech reviewers, people who do hardware stuff like that, they'll be able to test it. But they are special cases. Like they do it for a living, so they have that kind of money to spend on it. But me, I would consider myself a dedicated gamer. I ain't about to spend 5090 money twice.
I don't know how much that is, but man, holla at them boys at Apple, man. They that M5 chip is going crazy. They could probably do it at Silicon Valley. You feel
me? That's a solid point, man. If they can use the some of the layers to kind of leverage like the ARMs and stuff like that they can use to leverage the performance and be able to kind of interpret those layers to use the games and use the chip for all the processing power that the chip has, man. That's for sure. Agree. Just a quick note in that same vein is Project Helix is kind of projected to cost more than $1,000, right? Project Helix being Microsoft's next gen console, essentially. So
we're not buying it. Games are getting too expensive. I was just complaining about $70 Crimson Desert. I have it on my screen on my PS5. I'm looking at it and I'm like, $70.
Bro, you talking about $70 for Crimson Desert? Bro, you're talking about, look at the Switch 2. Donkey Kong Bonanza is $90, bro.
Oh, yeah.
$90.
Yeah.
We're not buying it either.
Nintendo is the first gaming platform to kind of make it that expensive too, right? Like they're
Nintendo's in a world of its own.
Oh, for sure, yeah. And I mean, of course, they don't exist. They
don't believe
games exist on any other platform. So
they don't believe in discounts over there, So.
Oh no, yeah.
They don't. Listen, Nintendo's doing their thing. Hopefully, nobody else copies them, but they're doing their own thing.
It looks like that, with the talks of the PS6 and this new Xbox, $1,000. Like I don't know, man. Bro, if I'm gonna spend $1,000 on a system, it's gonna be a MacBook.
They just upped the price of the PS5, bro, the other day. They just upped the price.
I think the PS5 Pro is like what, $900 now?
Oh, I was gonna say, what do you mean they upped the price on the PS5?
Yeah, PS5 Pro
with the RAM prices going up. Yeah, the RAM prices went up. So did the consoles.
Oh,
yeah, and
serious?
I think the base PS5 price. Yeah, I'm just checking. Is base PS5 price might have gone up too. It's now $649.
It doesn't even come with memory in the system.
No, I think
RAM.
Europe, I think they in Europe they decreased the amount of storage though that comes in.
I mean,
so
we already don't get enough storage with the PS5. Like
I don't. I don't know if that would offset the price, but okay.
So I think that was one of the ways that they were attempting to do cost cutting is that in Europe and in other parts of the world, the 1 terabyte system didn't actually come with a fully 1 terabyte system. It actually came with like a couple.
Well, I think
want to say about 100 gigs less. 100 gigs less. But
that's normal with any product that says that it has this, because it still needs to run like the operating system that's on the.
I'm not saying that it's actually like software locked for memory that needs to be accessed, by the systems or the OS. I'm saying that they actually decreased it a little bit more. I read an article about it. and how they decrease the storage a little bit more. So
That's pretty crazy. I'm not gonna lie.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
pretty crazy. So, I mean, the way everything is going, with all this AI and all this stuff like that, I know this is the reason that like memory and storage and things are getting a little bit more expensive. But yeah, I'm not buying $1,000 game system, guys.
Yeah, man. I mean, having done a recent PC build and playing Crimson Desert exclusively on a PC instead of I think I'm just at these prices. Is it more economically friendly to just move over to PC gaming, right? Like you build a PC. I mean, at $1,000, I can build a mid-tier PC. Like, I mean, and my build is pretty mid, honestly. Like, I'm not playing on a 5090. Like, let's, so, like,
listen,
and I'm getting 60 FPS and 1440p on my Crimson Desert build, or on my PC build playing Crimson Desert. So.
Listen, anybody who's building a PC right now, I feel sorry for you with the way the pricing is.
Yeah,
for sure.
I'm glad I built mine a while ago, and I wanted to upgrade, but I'll wait.
Let your GPU or your RAM conk out, man. You're gonna be in trouble.
Yeah. At this point, I'm waiting until something fails, then I'll upgrade. But
you might as well buy some parts and leave them on the back burner just in case.
Just in case, yeah.
At these prices, it seems like they're just gonna keep going up.
Yeah, I mean, I got me a 4080. I'm pretty decent with the 4080. It's not like it's weak. It's still pretty decent. So
right.
I'm good for the next little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
Prices going up.
Yeah.
Prices.
Well, it's
I don't know what that one was, Shells, but okay. we gonna count on you for the random Hadouken and random sounds.
Bro, I was just singing that song. You guys never heard that Migos song? Prices going up. Prices going up.
Price is definitely going up. Yeah, price is definitely going up. Well, I think we will leave it there, man. Thank you for everybody that's gonna tune in and who tuned in to this podcast. This was a great conversation. Again, this is episode 1 in the books, and can't wait to drop episode 2, and then maybe we can talk a little bit more about these game prices that are getting outrageous.
Mm-hmm. Plenty more to come.
Yeah, plenty more to come. We got a lot of things coming. We got a lot of outlets that are going to be coming soon. So stay tuned. Again, I'm your host today, Billion.
Maybe tell us what some platforms they can find us if they're looking for us.
Oh yeah, so you can definitely find us. Well, we're going to be on every platform. So we'll be on Spotify, Apple Music. Or should I say Apple Music, or is it Apple Podcasts? Apple Podcasts. You'll find us on YouTube. So it will be under the Endgame broadcast. We will be live everywhere. Again, today, I'm your host, Billion, and we have with us
Rex,
Caveman,
91 Shells. AKA Miguel.
We gonna get you.
And we have LZ here with us today. Thank you guys for tuning in.